GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes. Episode 5 of the College Golf Winter Break Series. If you haven't seen any of the first 4 episodes, check them out on GolfNewsRI.com. All of them have been great conversations with various people across the college golf community, local college golf community, various players across the community, I guess, is a better term for it. But check those episodes out. And we are super excited to be joined for episode 5 by Notre Dame star Andrew O'Leary, of course, the 2019 RI Amateur champion, and holder of one of the craziest golf rounds in the history of golf that happened to him this past summer. But we'll get into that. Andrew, thanks so much for taking a few minutes and doing the interview from your car after a quick range session.
Thanks so much, Joe, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, winter break. You have one semester left, then you got to enter the real world like the rest of us. What goes through your mind when you think about, oh man, I only got one semester of fun left?
Well, yeah, time really has flown. I'm 4.5 years in now, but it feels like it's just been 1 year. I'm not too excited to leave, but eventually you do have to kind of get into the real world and make something happen. So I guess I'm excited, but also I'll be a little bit sad to be leaving Notre Dame.
Do you have an idea of what's next for you? I mean, do you have kind of a plan going forward for you? Are you just going to try to stay in golf? Are you going to try to turn pro? Obviously, we just saw Davis Chatfield make it to the Corn Ferry Tour, at least for the first 8 events, whatever. But do you have a plan in place for what you want to do, or any idea what you want to do?
Yeah, my plan is definitely to turn pro. When I'll turn pro is just kind of dependent, I guess, on how this year goes. Like I can either turn pro right after I graduate, or I can wait till the fall, which a lot of people do and play in amateur tournaments over the summer. I still haven't really decided that yet, but how pro golf goes for me, it just kind of depends on how I play, as far as like what tour I could be on, or if I'm just playing mini tours or state opens and stuff like that. So ideally I take the Davis Chatfield route and just get through all 3 stages, or 4 stages if you include pre-qualifying of Corn Ferry, and then get status on Corn Ferry. That would be ideal. But yeah, I'll probably move down south for the winters, live with a few of my friends down there, and give things a go.
Is that exciting for you? Like, is there a party that's like, holy crap, you obviously know you're going to turn pro in some way, shape, or form. Is that exciting for you in some ways? Like, holy crap, I'm going to be a pro golfer. I could really do this for essentially the rest of my life.
Yeah, it is, because I mean, growing up, like, it's always a dream to be a professional athlete, whatever sport that may be. Like, I feel like every young boy wants to just be a pro athlete. So now it's like, well, I have that opportunity and can fulfill that dream. Like, it is very exciting. I'm excited to see what I can do with it.
It's crazy too, with time in Rhode Island, just in New England in general, but with all these kids, making it to the pros. I mean, Davis obviously on the Corn Ferry Tour, he starts in January. He had a tremendous run through his Q school, which looked like a complete grind. And then you have Chris Francoeur, from former URI star, and transferred to Louisville for 2 years, or for a year. And he's going to be a pro. He failed out at Q school, but he's still going to be a pro somewhere around the mini tours. Will Dixon, same thing. He's on the mini tours. Patrick Welch is going to be a pro in about a couple months. And then obviously yourself and others. I'm sure I'm missing people, but what a crazy time in Rhode Island golf. I'm not sure, and I've said this before, I'm not sure we've seen anything like this from a golf standpoint, or just a sports standpoint in general. You have Joe Mazzulla coaching the Celtics. You have 2 guys coaching in the NHL. You have pros across the sports world. Jeremy Pena just literally won the World Series pretty much by himself for the Astros. It felt like. It's just a crazy time in Rhode Island sports and in New England sports. I'm not sure we've ever seen anything like it, or we will ever see anything like it again.
Yeah, no, it has been special. It was funny, it's like all growing up together. Like, I feel like having that competition against one another really helped kind of breed that because there are so many good players around my age. And like I remember when we were just growing up 10, 11, 12 years old, always competing against each other in every like Challenge Cup tournament, usually is what it was. Um, and I think that just kind of pushed us all to get better on our own and individually. So I think that's kind of this is like the byproduct of when we were young.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some college stuff. But first, I want to take you back because you had a big summer. Uh, First of all, you had one of the craziest, stupidest, most unbelievable rounds anyone will ever see. You made like national headlines. You had Shane Bacon tweeting about you and Golf Channel tweeting about you. We posted an article up, of course. Um, at the North South Amateur, which is at Pinehurst, obviously. Uh, you made a nine, I think, on the ninth hole. Then you bounced back with a birdie and then a hole in one. Take us through that. I just looked at the scorecard before you jumped on because we embedded the tweet. I said I want to take anybody's image, so I just embedded the tweet. Take us through that because is that the craziest round you ever had? I mean, it's got to be obviously, but just take us
Yeah,
through those moments.
yeah, definitely the craziest round I've ever had. It's funny that it
And
happened
by the
in
way, you
a
shot 68.
tournament.
Just for the record.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like a tournament with such high stakes, and the way the tournament is for those listening that don't know, it was the North South Amateur down at Pinehurst. We're
Right.
playing Pinehurst number 4, and there's like 110 players in the field, and top 32 get into match play. So it's a deep cut. Like you have to play really well just to make match play. And this is my first round, and first like 3 holes were nothing crazy. I think I was 1 over through 3, and then on 4 it started to. I chipped in on 4 for birdie, and then I parred 5. Then I birdied 6, 7, and 8. So I was 3 under walking onto the ninth hole, having just birdied 4 of my last 5. So I was feeling good. And nine's like a reachable par 5. It was only like 400 or 530 yards, I think. So I get up there, I hit my drive a little down the left side, and I ended up in like this bush, and basically thought I could get a club on it. Took a few hacks. I forget. I think I maybe took 3 or 4 hacks at it. Finally got it up to the fairway, and I was hitting like 6 from like 220 yards out, and I hit it left of the green, almost out of bounds again, and I was in the pine straw left of the ninth green, and I chipped it on the green and 2 putted for my 9. And then walking out of the next tee, I was like, first of all, I was like shaking up because I was like, what just happened? Like I made a 9 and I was like 3 under. But now I was doing the math in my head. I was like, all right, well, I'm only 1 over. So like, theoretically, if I just have a good back 9 here, I'll be fine. Birdie 10, and then got onto the 11th hole there, and it was like 170 yards ish, and I hit like a 8 iron. The wind was a little down off the right, and it was a back left pin. So like if I over drew it or something and went long left, I was going to be dead back there. But it landed like right in line with the pin and bounced straight, even though it was drawing. So it was drawing. I thought it was going to bounce left and roll off the green, but somehow it took a straight bounce and just like one hopped and in the hole. And at that point, it was like, what is even going on? Like, I can't believe this is happening right now. I just looked at my dad, who was caddying for me at the time, and he was like, "Well, guess we just move on. Like, just keep going. Like, it's been the craziest round of my life, but you just got to kind of take and roll with the punches."
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Like I said, you had national people tweeting about it. On that nine, just out of curiosity, obviously I don't mean to second guess you, or obviously it's easier to look back in hindsight. Would it have been easier to take a drop, take it unplayable, and would that have saved you strokes or no? Again, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to. It's easier to look back in
Oh yeah.
hindsight, of course, but I was
Yeah.
just
It
curious.
definitely would have saved me strokes. I just thought, I'm being stupid. I was like, I think I can get a club on. I thought I could get back out to the fairway at least, and knowing that if I took it unplayable, I was still gonna have to punch out. So I thought I would be wasting a shot basically if I took it unplayable at first. And then once I got whacking at it, I was like, well, now I just have to get it out eventually.
Yeah.
It was frustrating, but yeah, I mean, I was happy with the way I was able to rebound and kind of
Yeah.
settle myself down on the 10th tee. So that was definitely a learning experience for me, to say the least.
What is that? Is that I mean, obviously that's mental toughness or the mental part of the game. What if I make it nine on the hole? If people at my level, not a very high level, make it nine, we're done for the day, right? We're going to the bar, right? We're going to the cocktail, whatever it is. You make it nine, you bounce back with a birdie. Obviously, the hole in one is, a luck. Obviously, you're not thinking you're making a hole in one, but you hit a great shot either way.
Yeah.
But what is that? How do you? get from a 9 to okay, bounce back with a birdie, and then obviously the ace was the cherry on top. But how do you get to that point?
Yeah, well, I mean, if there was a cart girl out there, I definitely would have made a stop there after the ninth hole. But no, unfortunately, there was none, so I had to just kind of suck it up and move on. But I think it's just like eventually, like over time, I don't think I would have been able to do this when I was younger, but eventually you just kind of build up like a resilience and you recognize that no matter how far out of it you think you are, like you're never really out of it in golf because you can put together stretches where you birdie. I mean, I've made, 6 birdies in a row before in a tournament. So like I'm like, as long as I just keep my head in it, that's giving me the best chance to succeed at the end of the day. And walking on the 10th tee, I was like, I'm one over. Like, yeah, it was a crazy scorecard in the front nine, but like I could have just been it's the same thing as making 8 pars and 1 bogey, and I would be like, maybe a little frustrated that I hadn't made birdies, but I was like, yeah, it's not terrible. Like it could be worse. So, Pinehurst isn't obviously the easiest course in the world, so it's not like you can expect to shoot 5 under every round there. So, um, it's just kind of over time I've built up a certain resilience to realize that I'm capable of stringing together great stretches of golf and that I'm never out of it. So I just kind of go with that attitude for every round or no matter what's happened in my round.
Now your big summer continued with you qualified for the U.S. Amateur, I believe for the first time. Um, Obviously, when you got there, obviously the course was playing tough. It was obviously a bit of a struggle for yourself and a lot of people. But just getting there is a big deal. It's no joke, as everyone knows. What was that like? What was that qualifying like? And then what was it like just to get there and be in that atmosphere?
Yeah, that whole experience was really cool.
Yeah.
I wish I was hitting it a little better going into that event. Really, the whole like last month of the summer, I wasn't hitting it great, and I was able to kind of scrape it around in the qualifier and get in. I won in a playoff
Yeah.
against one of my former high school teammates actually. But I was really obviously stoked to get in because I had never made. I had been an alternate like 4 or 5 times, so it's always been kind of my white whale, and I was just so excited to be there. And I just kind of went into it like, let's just try to enjoy this as much as I can. I feel like I've worked so hard for so long for an opportunity like this opportunity. Essentially, it's the peak of amateur golf, obviously. And I just I don't want to say I wasn't prepared because I had practiced harder than I ever had, like the full couple months leading up to it. But I knew that like it was going to take a special round for me to really shoot a good number out there on those courses because it was just set up very difficult and the rough was like 6 inches, 7 inches. So like if you missed the fairway, like it was really hard to even advance at 150 yards. So, but overall, like it was an awesome USAM venue and it was like the perfect spot for it. But yeah, just didn't have my best stuff that week, unfortunately.
Yeah, at least you made it. I had heard that the course was tough. Brad Valoy made it from Rhode Island. Obviously, he's one of 4 hour amateurs, and he's had a storied career. He made it. He told me that the course was crazy. The course
Yeah,
setup was crazy. But that's what you expect when you go to play in those tournaments.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so you had obviously a great summer. Notre Dame, you come back for your senior season last season. You guys kind of have an up and down ish fall season. You have an up and down fall season. I think that's fair to say.
Mhm.
And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but just take us through that fall season. What's that process like? And it feels like to me, and I've said this, the fall season in college golf is kind of, I don't want to say it's preseason. That's not fair. There's big tournaments in the fall, the East Lake Cup, others too as well. So I don't want to, that's not really a fair statement, but obviously it's all leads up to the spring season with the NCAA's. But just take us through the fall season and how you think you played and your team.
Yeah, we had um a big learning curve this year. We lost Davis, obviously, who was a huge member of the team, both as a captain and as a player. So we've kind of been, figuring out how the team dynamic works now. And I think we did a good job of just kind of trying to gain a new identity, I think, as a team. And we had a really strong schedule. Like we were
Mhm.
thrown into some of the top tournaments in the country. We played in the Stevens Cup, which was at Seminole, and that was on Golf Channel against, the field was ridiculous. It was just like,
Mhm.
it was like who was there? I forget, Texas, UNC won, Florida State, all those really top Southern schools. And then we were there because we won the previous year at down at a Lotion Club in Arkansas. But I mean, yeah, we had a mediocre fall results wise, I would say. But I think as far as just like building a team culture and preparing ourselves for what we know we're going to see in the spring, I think it was a very productive fall, and we learned a lot about each other and kind of what makes us tick. And we're in a good spot, I think, for the spring though.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Two guys I want to ask you about. Obviously, Palmer Jackson, and I hope I pronounced his name right. Tachi Cho, is
Hey,
that
Chi.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey, Chico. Yeah.
Sorry if I butchered his name. Dave
All
had
right.
obviously had great career so far. Palmer Jackson is, Davis Chatfield went on a podcast a month or two ago, whatever it was, and he was talking about how, he wants to come back to college because Palmer is breaking all his records or, whatever it
Yeah.
was. But those two guys are having great careers so to this point, especially Palmer. I know he played at a PGA Tour event. But just talk about those two, what it's like to watch them on a daily basis, and just how special of players they are.
Yeah, they do things that like I just can't even imagine doing. Like it's very cool to watch. And the best part of it is having them on your team. Like there's just I pick their brain all the time, and I love having competitions against them. So I think that's the best way to make myself better is to kind of go at those top players and try to play, matches against them or chipping, putting contests, anything. And the thing that they have that like very few other people have seen is a certain level of creativity and just like I don't even know how to describe it. Like their imagination is just incredible when they're out on the golf course. They see shots that normal people just don't see, and then they can execute it based on the fact that they can see it and they know how to hit it. So yeah, they're really special players. Similar to Davis, just results are there that you can just see it on paper that they are, the top of the top. They're very elite players, and I'm excited to see what they do at the pro level too.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch all you guys at the pro level, yourself included. You still have a semester left though, so enjoy it while you can. Um,
I will.
winter break. This is the winter break series. Again, we're just trying to draw attention to college golf and college golfers around the state and just around the country, really. So I know you're just coming back from a range session. How much work will you put in during this break? And to be fair, I don't know how long these schools breaks are. I know it's like I know when I was in school it was like a month or something. It felt like a month. But how much work will you put in? Are you going down south to play? Will you go to simulators? Like how much work do you put in during this winter break?
So my normal schedule right now is I'll usually get up and I'll work out in the morning for like an hour and a half, and then I'll go to the range. I usually go to Atlantic, which is in Attleboro. That's where I am now. I'm sitting in the parking lot, but and then I'll go from here over to Pawtucket because Pawtucket's where my home course is, and that they keep it open all year round as long as there's no like snow or frost or anything like that. So it'll be open on a day like today where it's just like high 30s, 40 degrees, and the wind's not too bad. So I'll try to get out there and play as much as I can, usually 2 or 3 days a week. And then I'll hit balls every day. So chipping and putting is obviously a little difficult right now because the greens at Pawtucket aren't particularly amazing, as no courses greens are amazing right now. But I'll go down to Florida right after Christmas. I'm playing in a tournament down there. It's called the what's it called? Orlando International Amateur. It's at Orange County National. So I'll head down there, play a couple practice rounds, and then it's a 3 round tournament. So I'll be down there for like 5, 6 days and try to kind of keep my feel and get ready because we have qualifying starting in late January or early February, I think, for school. So you don't want to just take these 2 months completely off, obviously. So like I still try to get at least between 3 to 4 hours of practice in a day if I can, weather permitting, obviously.
Yeah. Well, a couple of days ago it snowed, so right now you're looking pretty good. And
Yeah,
I think Friday's gonna be like 60 degrees they said or something. I might even go play for all I know. And I don't
yeah.
play when it's cold out. Uh, Spring season, how much anticipation is there for the spring season for Notre Dame and just in general? Obviously, there's a big lead up to it. The NCAA's are in the spring, obviously. How much anticipation is there for that season to get started?
Yeah, we're excited. We're pretty laser focused. I feel like each one of us on the team, we're all playing in tournaments over this break, trying to get any advantage or edge we can. So we're looking forward to it. We feel like we have some unfinished business after a disappointing end of last year. So You know, we we get along super well, and I'm just excited to go at it with this group of guys.
Uh, Talk about your coach, John Hendrigan. Again, hope I didn't botch his name. Recently, he was just named head coach of the Arnold Palmer Cup team, which is kind of like a Ryder Cup style event. Obviously, it's a huge honor. It's a big deal. But just talk about him. What kind of coach is he? What kind of coach will he be for the Arnold Palmer Cup team? Just talk about him a bit.
Yeah, he is a very impressive guy. When I committed to Notre Dame in 2016, the team was ranked like 90th or 100th, and then
Wow.
um, once he came in, took him a couple of years to kind of get some guys in and change the culture of the program, which takes years. And once things started to fall into place, like the results were immediate. My sophomore year, we were ranked fifth in the country. So we went from 3 years prior being ranked 100th to being a top five team in the country. And since then, we've been, routinely ranked inside the top 15 or 20 for my last 4 years here. So it's been just a massive change in Notre Dame golf. And now we're looked at as, one of the premier college golf teams, and we get privileges that come with that, like playing in all those top tournaments and being on Golf Channel and all that sort of stuff. And if you told our athletic director that 5 years ago, I bet he wouldn't have believed it. So it's been a real pleasure to work with him, and he is the kind of coach that tries to push you to your limits. Though he's not, usually someone that you're gonna be goofing off with. Like he means business, and I think he's going to make a great captain of that Arnold Palmer Cup team for the internationals. I don't. I guess I have to kind of root for the internationals a little bit, but I wish I could just root for USA, but I will be rooting for him.
A couple more things, and we'll get you out of here. I'm sure you're anxious to get out of your car. But when I had you on the RA Amateur Series podcast back in 2020, I think, or 2021, I don't know. The year the amateur was at Kirkbride. Anyway, we talked about Wagger, and it was a big thing, and you talked about how you have a great quote about how it means a lot to you to play in the RA Amateur, and you always want to play. You feel like you owe it to the state, you owe it to, Bob Ward, who's Riga, obviously, and just the Riga staff. Um, Obviously last year you weren't able to play, and I'm only bringing that up because recently Wagger World Amateur Golf Rankings announced they're making changes for 2023. Basically, um, for kids that are going to play these big tournaments, you're not going to get points just for showing up. And this is something that's been a problem. We've talked about it. You and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with Bobby Leopold and Mike Hamilton, and how to get kids to stay home, quote unquote, and play in their local amateur. And the Wagger announced changes. Now, I don't know if this is all the way there, but it feels like to me it's a step in the right direction. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on some of those changes as somebody that follows Wagger and who's obviously your amateur ranking is important. But what are your thoughts on some of those changes that they're making? And do you think that's the right step?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. I feel like every single one of like the top 300 to 500 players are all trying to get into the same like 7 or 8 tournaments over the summer. And with that, there's just no incentive for the top college players to play in their state AMs and their local tournaments because really, unless they win, it's only going to hurt their ranking. So they're like, well, if I keep playing in these local tournaments, then my ranking's going to get hurt to the point where I can't get into those top tournaments anymore. So the incentive is just to play in all those top tournaments and then just play no local tournaments because that's what's going to boost their ranking the most and get them into all the other top tournaments. So I think it's a good change because I think golf is better when people are playing in their regions and stuff. And I would love to just be able to play in Rhode Island every week and play and against the competitors here because I mean at the end of the day there are plenty of great players like in this local area, and I think the ranking system disproportionately rewards just the players that play in those top tournaments because like they're good, but they're not like that much better than people around here. Like, is the difference between the people playing in the Northeast Amateur and Rhode Island Amateur? Like, yeah, there'll maybe a slight difference, but like it's not that big. And Wagger treats it as if it's +5 handicaps versus 20 handicaps, and that's just not the case.
Like Hamilton told me, like we literally just had talked about this because Wagner announced it, and then I texted him and a couple other people just to get clarification for myself because I'm still trying to understand it, just like anybody else. And he basically said that he got the same amount of points for finishing last during his Northeast Amateur appearance which he admits was a complete whirlwind for him, and to same amount of points for finishing last in the Northeast Amateur as he did for finishing runner-up in the RI Amateur, and that just doesn't seem, that doesn't seem to make sense. It's just
Yeah.
pretty straight common sense. It doesn't seem to make much sense. So hopefully it's a change in the right direction. Like I said, you had great quote on it a couple years ago, and obviously last year you weren't able to play, unfortunately. But that's the only reason why I bring that up. A couple more things, and I want to get you out of here. A couple quick hitters. Notre Dame football game on a scale of 1 to 10. How cool is it to be at a Notre Dame football game?
It's a 10. It's 10. I just had my last home football game as a student right before Thanksgiving, and it was a snow game too, and
Oh, that's
it was
cool.
just like a blizzard, and it was just like I had never had a snow game before, but that was like the perfect way to finish off my 5 years of Notre Dame football games. It really is a special experience. It's like the tradition and the culture that surrounds it is just unmatched, I think, at any other university. So I'm very fortunate to be able to have experienced that for so many years.
I think snow football games are one of the coolest things on TV. It doesn't happen too often. We don't get them that much over here. Once in a while, the Patriots will get a snow game, but not even. It doesn't even feel like that happens much anymore.
Yeah.
But the other night they had Buffalo, Miami on, and it was snowing out in Buffalo, and I thought just the optics of it, the view of it, the picture of it looks really cool. Your go-to club, you need a shot. You gotta hit a big shot. What club are you pulling?
Um, are we talking like an iron shot, or are we just saying
Whatever
in
you want
general? What do I have the most confidence
whatever
in?
you want the shot to be, whatever your most comfortable club is, whatever you want the shot to be.
I think my most confident shot would be if I was feeling good with the driver and I'm in a pressure situation. I'm pretty good at hitting like kind of a low squeeze cut out there. I feel like I can hit the fairway 9 out of 10 times under pressure. If I just need like a par to win a tournament or something like that, then I'm gonna go to that squeeze cut with the driver.
Is that something that you've developed over the years, like a go-to shot? It feels like a lot of players, maybe I don't know, maybe not a lot, but it feels like a lot. Yeah, it feels like a lot of players have those shots. Like they have a go-to shot. They need something. They need to be in the fairway. Tiger used to hit the stinger. Is that something that you've developed over the years, or is that something you feel like you've kind of always had?
Yeah, I know definitely something I've developed over time, like just being at the driving range and stuff, hitting balls. If you ask any PGA Tour player, they'll all have a shot that they can go to, whether it be a tee shot that they're uncomfortable with, or if they're just not hitting it well that day. Like they can usually have a lot of times 2 or 3 different shot shapes that they can go to that they feel like they can always trust. So for me, I only really have that one where it's just a squeeze cut, but some guys, yeah, like Tiger had the stinger and stuff like that. Just over time, just experimenting with stuff at the range, you figure out what can always work for you, even if you're not swinging well.
Your favorite course to play in a tournament?
That I have played in tournament, I would say a Lotion Club down in Arkansas. That's where the Stevens Cup was last year on Golf Channel, and the fact that we won as a team too made it extra special, obviously. But that place was literally just like Augusta in Arkansas. There was not a divot on the property when we showed up, and the greens were by far the fastest greens I've ever played. They were probably rolling at like a 16. It was unbelievable. Just when we got on the practice green the first day, we were just hitting like 10-foot putts like 20 feet by, just like I don't know how we're supposed to keep it on the green this week, but that was in a remarkable course, just start to finish.
Road trip that you're most looking forward to this spring, short of NCAA's. What's road trip are you looking forward to this spring?
We are going to Arizona. We're playing Arizona State's event this year in mid-April. And I'm excited. I don't know if it's a desert golf course, but I'm just excited to play in Arizona. I've never played a tournament in Arizona before, so I think that would just be good prep for Greyhawk and kind of getting the feel for how far the ball is traveling and stuff like that, because it goes forever down there, and I'm not particularly used to that right now. So I'm just kind of excited to go down there and learn all I can to be most prepared for game time and in late May, early June, I guess.
It comes quick. Last question. I've asked everybody else this as well. Obviously, you're a senior. You have one semester left. We have kids in Rhode Island and in the area that are either freshmen in college right now playing college golf or going to be freshmen in college at some point in the very near future. You've been through it all. You've had all these experiences. What advice would you give somebody? If somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Andrew, I'm a freshman in college. I'm playing college golf at XX University. You know, what advice do you have for me? How to handle everything?"
I would say you should focus every single day on the process of getting better rather than just what your results say. I think it's important not to try to force results and be like, because some days you can go out there and you can feel like you played a great round, like you hit the ball great, you chipped well, you putted well, but your score might not reflect it. Maybe you shot like even par or one over. And then there's some days where you just go out there and you get like super lucky and just hit a few balls that smash them into the woods, but it spits it out next to the hole and you tap it in for birdie. Like it, it may look like you shot lower, but or you did shoot lower. It might look like you play better, but you didn't. Like you have to be more focused on how is your process with every shot and each day going, and are you focused on getting 1% better each and every single day, rather than just what am I shooting out there? Am I beating my friends and stuff like that? So I would say you just can't look at it only as a results based sport.
Awesome. Andrew O'Leary, Notre Dame senior, one semester left, and then off to the real world. Andrew, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to me. I really appreciate it, and good luck in the spring semester. And obviously, we'll be everyone on Rhode Island and GolfNewsRI will be following you along.
Thanks so much, Joe, for having me.
All right, that's Andrew O'Leary, senior at Notre Dame. This has been the College Golf Winter Break Series. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We have a few more episodes scheduled, so be sure to check golfnewsri.com for those episodes coming up within the next week or two. Thanks, everyone.